জাস্ট আপনি একটু ইয়ে করে নিন, ওটা অ্যাডজাস্ট করুন।
আপনার হাইটের রেসপেক্টে
রাইট, খুব ভালো আছে। তো পিছনে কৃষ্ণ পিছনে কি আছে সাইডে এখন কোনায় একটা শরীর।
ওকে,
It's okay. ভলিউমটা This is good. Om Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibhiriditam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Srimadatatam Bhuvi Grinti E Bhurida Janaha. Om. Welcome to the scripture class of the Vedanta Society of Toronto. As you see, the setup is different than we generally have every week, because I am now in Calgary. It's Vedanta Society of Calgary. From there, I'm doing online on YouTube. And welcome to the Calgary Vedanta Society. And you can see the beautiful shrine here, where Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother, and Swamiji are sitting in been made here, a beautiful center, and that has come up recently in a huge property and wonderful scenery, very sunny day of Calgary. And today is the auspicious day of Dol Purnima or Holi, the day associated with the playing of Holi or colors by Sri Krishna and Radha in the Vrindavan areas. And this is the day when there will be colors will be played in heaven. And Sri Krishna, it is said that Sri Krishna started it on this earth, and the color is played all over India and mostly North India. It's very joyful, and this is also very holy for the sadhakas, because on this day was born Sri Krishna Chaitanya or Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, an incarnation of God, whom we believe to be an incarnation of God. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born on this tithi of Dol Purnima, this full moon day. He was born this day. So this becomes very auspicious, joyful, holy day. This is the holy day, day of Holi. Welcome to you all for the scripture class. And today's scripture, as has been announced, is the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. We are continuing the Gospel, and we are on page 362. The chapter is M at Dakshineshwar, part 1. Sri Ramakrishna was talking about some devotees who had been to the pilgrimage, and he said where they met some monks on earth, where they offered some offering to some monks. When they said no, they left in the early morning so that they would be asked for money. Sri Ramakrishna said that was not right. You should, when you go to the places, you should offer something. He used to say when you go to the holy places, like to the temples or holy places, you should offer something. And also to monks and to ashrams which run on charity, you should help them to run the charity by offering some money. That Sri Ramakrishna always said. So Sri Ramakrishna himself now is narrating what happened when he went to Vrindavan, because that person said he has been to Vrindavan, and he ran away early in the morning saying that he will go tomorrow. He left that night itself, so that not to give some money. And Sri Ramakrishna was very displeased with such type of behavior of the devotee. And he himself then started saying what experience he had in Vrindavan. You know, the Vrindavan, the place where Sri Krishna had his childhood days and his divine play there as a child Krishna, was found out by Sri Chaitanya. Sri Chaitanya was one who discovered in his divine meditation that this is the spot where Sri Krishna's childhood divine play had happened. And by his verification, the Vrindavan came up, otherwise it was all lost. So we have this Vrindavan because of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's divine vision. And he is saying, after finding out the Vrindavan, which was just a forest, then he sent his disciples, Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, and asked them to develop it. And today it's such a huge place of pilgrimage, a center of pilgrimage for Hindu devotees, especially those who love Krishna and divine being in the form of Krishna. For them, Vrindavan is the holiest place. Vrindavan. Thus, Sri Ramakrishna admired and he respected very much. And he had brought that when he came and spread that in Panchavati, as you all know. So Vrindavan is very holy. Finding a Vrindavan is very important in the history of Hindu pilgrimage. And for that, we revere and are very indebted to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whose birthday is today. So we bow down to Thakur Ma Swamiji and Sri Krishna and Radha and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then begin our scripture, the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, as page 362, the paragraph beginning on that page. Sri Ramakrishna says, I wanted to visit Shyamakunda and Radhakunda. So Mathur Babu sent me there in a palanquin. We had a long way to go. Food was put in the palanquin. While going over the meadow, I was overpowered with emotion and wept. Oh Krishna, I find everything the same, only you are not here. This is the very meadow where you tended the cows. Thus, Sri Ramakrishna was crying and shedding tears in by missing Sri Krishna. This type of feeling in a devotee's heart is called viraha. When you are not able to see your beloved, and you know he is there, everything is there as it was during Sri Krishna's time, but somehow Sri Krishna is not there, is not being seen with the eyes. That's what he's seeing. He knows Sri Krishna is there, but not being able to see him with the open eyes, he is lamenting and wailing. And that what he had done, he remembers and tells that to the devotees. How one should feel when one goes to pilgrimage. When we go to pilgrimage, like we go to Varanasi and go to Vishwanath, one is that Shiva is there in the form of a stone emblem. And also another way to remember how many holy people had come. Shankaracharya and all the holy Ramanujacharya, Madhva, all holy people had come there. Thakur Ma, Swamiji, all had gone, Thakur's direct disciple, all had gone to that small sanctum sanctorum of Vishwanath. Then you enjoy more that when you remember Trailanga Swami and all great monks and all incarnations, they had gone there. Shiva lives there. So if with that feeling you go to pilgrimage, you enjoy more. When we go to Dakshineswar, we should try to feel Sri Ramakrishna in everywhere. Here he meditated. Here was the house where he did Advaita sadhana. Under this bale tree, he did Tantra sadhana. And in this Nath Mandir of Kali temple, he spoke with Em, and Em saw him walking with a very tall shadow and whatever description we find in the gospel. And here Sri Ramakrishna saw a living mother, worshipping her, feeding her, and seeing her in everyone and everything. That type of thing, if we remember in the temple, seeing beautiful image of Divine Mother there. When you go, your eyes are caught in the bright, beautiful, decorated image of a Divine Mother. And then you feel this is the mother that Sri Ramakrishna saw living. When we do that, our pilgrimage gets very fortified, very enriched with the thought of the divinity there, presence of Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother there at that time. We should go in the back in the history, and we should be there to be present in that and feel the presence of Sri Ramakrishna walking through the courtyard of Dakshineswar and his visions of Divine Mother there. Then we enjoy more the place. Like that Sri Ramakrishna is having the feeling of Sri Krishna there. Everything is there like Sri Krishna, only he cannot find Sri Krishna. And this Viraha Vedana, that gives great joy to Sri Ramakrishna. And then Sri Ramakrishna continues after saying what he prayed. Then he says, Hridaya followed me on foot. I was bathed in tears. I couldn't ask the bearers to stop the palanquin. So they were taking, and Sri Ramakrishna was so much overwhelmed with the emotion of Sri Krishna and missing. That is the real missing. We often say, "Oh, I miss you," but we just say lip, like we really feel if that person had been there, it would have been joy. But real missing is this is the real missing when you have so much of longing for the person which you could meet there. You really miss forgetting everything. And he bathed in tears as Sri Ramakrishna, and even didn't ask, wouldn't talk with the palanquin bearers. He stopped here. I just want to see. And Hridaya walked all that on foot. Generally, devotees do on foot, but Sri Ramakrishna's body was not that strong. He and Mathura Babu, his Rasadar of Sri Ramakrishna, who took every care of Sri Ramakrishna, had arranged palanquin and whatever was needed. And Hridaya was very good attendant, very good always helper, that he always was with Sri Ramakrishna. He was aware if Sri Ramakrishna goes into Samadhi, he may fall. So he was beside Sri Ramakrishna walking in that Shyamakunda and Radha Kunda. Then Sri Ramakrishna says, at Shyamakunda and Radha Kunda, I saw the holy men living in small mud huts, facing away from the road, lest their eyes should fall on men. They were engaged in spiritual discipline. one should visit the 12 grove. This is something associated with the holy life of Sri Krishna. 12 grove that there are Nidhuban and like that. 12 buns are there. 12 grove or where the holy places where Sri Krishna had a divine dance and play. We know more one, but there are 12 like that thing. So he said that how he saw Babaji's, the sadhakas, they had huts near the road which led around the Shamkunda and Radhakunda, but they were not facing towards road, they were facing away from the road towards hut so that their sadhana is not disturbed. How should one do sadhana? That's what he very much admired, the sincerity of those monks where he made there, who were in spiritual discipline. The monks of Dasanami Sampradaya are called sannyasins or sadhus, uh, and of Vaishnava sect who don't wear ochre robes, generally they wear white robes. They are called Babajis. Generally, that is the term. Babaji also equally, they're also fully devoted to sadhana. And most of them have no connection with the home. They are fully devoted, but they don't take sannyasa with all rituals and vows. But they are very devoted there. So they are not sannyasins, but they are sadhus. Definitely, sadhu means any good person is sadhu. Any householder is a good householder is a sadhu. Any good Vaishnava is a sadhu. Good monk is a sadhu. Sadhu means good person. So they are sadhus, and generally they are referred to as Babajis, and monks are referred to as sannyasins or sadhus. I went into samadhi at the sight of the image of Banku Bihari. In that state, I wanted to touch it. I did not want to visit Govindji twice. At Mathura, I dreamt of Krishna as the cowherd boy. Hriday and Mathur Babu had the same dream. Can you imagine all three persons having the same dream? And that too in Mathura. Mathura, Sri Krishna went after he was grown up and fought with Kamsa and regained the kingdom and gave it to Vasudeva. That was Mathura. But Sri Ramakrishna, Mathur, and Hriday all had the dream of Sri Krishna as cowherd boy in not in Vrindavan but in Mathura. So that was so wonderful coincidence. And here also. Here in Banku Bihari temple, that is the most famous temple, Banki Bihari, where they pull the curtain after certain times. They keep it open for few minutes and then again close that. Many times in the day they open and they close the shrine. They pull the curtain so that the people don't look at the deity for longer times. There is a story behind that, why they had to close this thing, because gods get this Sri Krishna gets attached to his real devotees. That is what the story is there, and the priest don't want him to get attached to particular devotee, whether he may be good, and go with him or her. So he wants they want Krishna to remain in the temple and be equal to all. Otherwise, Krishna is so attracted. Not only the devotees attracted to Krishna. This beautiful example of how God is attracted to devotees. Sri Krishna says, in the beginning, the devotee has to follow God. And when the devotion matures, then God follows the devotee. Devotee is never separated from God. God starts following the devotee. And how does he follow? God follows the devotees. And Sri Ramakrishna gives the example, like a mother cow follows her calf. Like that, like that, God follows the devotee. He gets so much attached to the devotees. He must so much enjoys the company of devotees. So first, the devotees association and attachment to God, and it matures into that state, then God is never separated from the devotee. And that because of that, they pull on the screen after a few minutes, and after like again they open for certain time for a few minutes and then again close. That is what the Banke Bihari or Banku Bihari temple there. And he didn't go to another temple for longer time, Govindji temple twice. He didn't go. Why? Why he didn't go to temple twice? Why he has to say that? He didn't mention. because he was to get overwhelmed with the presence of Sri Krishna there, and he may get into trance, into meditation, into he may lose himself, because we must not forget that Sri Ramakrishna is incarnation of Rama and Krishna. And when this incarnation go visit the places of their source, they may merge in the source. That's why Sri Ramakrishna never visited Puri. In his lifetime, he never visited. Holy Mother later took a photograph and showed Puri to him. Because Puri is the source, it is the seat of Sri Krishna, and he may lose himself and lose into the image of Jagannath, become one with Jagannath, and give up his body. That is the danger of all these incarnations. So he never visited Puri, and he didn't visit Govindji twice. That was what Sri Ramakrishna is saying. I went into Samadhi at the sight of image of Banku Bihari. There itself he was in Samadhi. And there was always desire to take his care so that he doesn't fall when he went in Samadhi while standing. And generally in the temples, it's always a case of we do darshan when we are standing. Now, next paragraph, to Suryandra. You have both yoga and bhoga. There are different classes of sages. The Brahmarshi, the Devarshi, and the Rajarshi. Sukadeva is an example of the Brahmarshi. He didn't keep even one book with him. An example of the Devarshi is Narada. Janaka was a Rajarshi, devoted to selfless work. So, after saying about that he has both bhoga and yoga, then you are in the household, but not fully immersed in the household. You are also connected with God. You have yoga too. That's what yoga and bhoga both going together. Some people, when they are too much into God, they cannot remain in the world, tied to the world, attached to the world, and cannot look after the business of the world. They go and become yogi. And sometimes there's people are so much attached to the world. Mostly people are so much attached to the world. They are called bhogi. Bhogi means one worldly person who only looks after the worldly things and worldly enjoyment and property. That becomes bhogi, totally bereft of any spiritual inclination. But Suryandra was very lucky. He loved God, he was devoted to Sri Ramakrishna, and yet he took care of his property and business, and he was a donor to Sri Ramakrishna, and he helped Sri Ramakrishna in many things, and he's praising Suryandra in that way. And he says about the rishis, three kinds of rishis. There are two kinds of householders. So one is a spiritual as well as householder. Some are only engrossed in, only given to spirituality like sannyasis. And he gives the example of rishis, three kinds of rishis. One is Brahmarshi, always living in Brahman. They are called, like Sri Krishna says, Sthita Pragya or Jivana Mukta Purusha are those. Like Sukadeva, he gives example. They do not possess anything. Sukadeva didn't even wear clothes. He had no possession at all. So when you see Sukadeva reading the Bhagavatam to Parikshit, it was not from book he was reading. He was reading from the memory of what he heard from his father. So he didn't have any book with him. So that was Shukadeva, no possession at all. Not even, he didn't possess even body. He was not aware of body also. He was totally immersed in the joy of Brahman. Ahar nisham brahma sukhe ramanta kaupina vanta khalu bhagyavanta. Chaitanya, Sri Shankaracharya says about the person of knowledge, Jivan Mukta, like that. You are so blessed, you are day and night immersed in the bliss of Brahman. That was Shukadeva, Brahmarshi. Now comes another is Rajarshi. Rajarshi is Janaka. So he was a rishi, totally connected to God, totally aware of his own divine nature, truth revealed to him. And yet he was looking after the kingdom. So that was another thing. Yoga and bhoga also you cannot say to that person. He didn't have yoga and bhoga. He was totally in yoga, but seemed like he was having bhoga also as he was running the kingdom. He had no idea or possession of Janak or this kingdom, Janaka. Not yoga and bhoga together. He was fully He was only yoga, yet he performed his yoga and looked after the kingdom in a detached spirit. That was Rajarshi Janaka. And there is another stage of rishi called Devarshi, who are like divine being, and they are rishis, but they do good to the world. They are not like Saptarshis, always meditating in somewhere in Saptarshi Mandal, where others cannot go. But they are Devarshis, always trying and helping the people to move Godward by singing the name of God. Narayana, Narayana, they will sing, and God's feeling, God's purity should prevail in this earth. Not only that, it is said that Narada used to travel all over the universe, as it were three bhuvan they call Swarga, Martya, Patala. So he had access to everywhere in the world. He used to sometime be in heaven with his Sri Vishnu, and sometime in the world coming to this king, that person, and making them move Godward. Sometime to Asura Loka, Patala, where other world where the Asuras live. So he was free to move and always tried to do good to the world by giving the name of God to them. I know you know how Ratnakara was transformed into Valmiki just by the grace of Narada Rishi. He had that power that he could transform a dacoit into a saint, into an unlettered person, into a poet. The first poet they call Adi Kavi Valmiki. We call it that is all by the grace of Devarshi Narada. So his purpose in life is always to spread the name of God and remove the impurity of the people. And Asura and Swarga Loka are there. He goes, but we are more concerned with the Patala Loka, Martya Loka, very often comes, and the graces of people. Like in Dhruva's story, also Narada guided that you go and do this japam of this Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, and the Lord will reveal. So Lord revealed to him by his prayer, Dhruva, by his austerity and by his practice, or by the grace of Narada. So that is one thing sometimes they ask. Grace is very powerful that makes us work in life. So that was Devarshi Narada, always doing good to the world, spiritually good. That's what Swami Vivekananda says. If you want to help others, you can help three ways. One is you can help physically by giving them cloth and food and money. You can help them mentally by giving them solace, peace, nice positive words, and by giving some knowledge about some skill. That is the second Shiksha Dana. And there is the highest and the best is Adhyatmika Dana. Give some spiritual teaching, move them towards God, ask them that remember God is everything. That is permanent giving, making them good. When they turn towards God, the source of well-being, a source of goodness, source of strength, and they really can connect with God, you have done a great work for in their life. Permanently, you have made them good in their life. So the Adhyatmikata Dana is the greatest gift that is, and that's what Devarshi Narada does throughout his life. That is his mission of life, to do good to all the worlds, all the beings in the world. The devotee of the Divine Mother attains dharma and moksha. He enjoys artha and kama as well. Once I saw you in a vision as the child of the Divine Mother. You have both yoga and bhoga. Otherwise, your countenance would look dry. So he's praising Suryandra like this, you see, how beautifully. And because he saw that Suryandra, as his Ishta was Divine Mother, Mother Kali, and he belonged to Mother Kali. That's why he's talking about the devotees of Kali. The devotees of Kali's can get anything: dharma, artha, kama, moksha, whatever they like. Even in a song, it said about the Sri Ramakrishna devotees, whatever they want the worldly success and comfort. If they ask for, Thakur will give that. If you Thakur, they can get that. If you want moksha and dharma, you can get that also by the grace of Thakur. Dharmartha Kama Moksha Ke Nivire Ai. Like that, there is one song. Whatever you want from Sri Ramakrishna, you can get that wish fulfilling tree. And that is what it is said. But Saradanandaji said, no, no, Sri Ramakrishna would not make you drown in the world. If you had certain time and certain thing needed in your worldly life, he may give that for that time being to satisfy you that. But if you come to Sri Ramakrishna, he will definitely make you move towards spirituality. That is what is, he gives the fearlessness by revealing himself. Atma Prakashe Abhayadana. That's what Sri Ramakrishna does. That is our belief, faith in Sri Ramakrishna, like that. So, Divine Mother's devotees can get everything, whatever they want. So he says, you also have everything gifted by the Divine Mother Kali to you, yoga and bhoga both. Otherwise, you would look dry. Why he said that? Because people who was too much in spirituality, sometimes once Sri Ramakrishna didn't like, they tried to discard and had disconnect with the world and be in spirituality. Nothing of the world really matters for them, and they are so much they like have a hatred towards the people of the world. They call first worldly people. They call. They don't say when they play. Where is worldly people? This world belongs to God, and all people belongs to world. Even the one you are belong to this world. There's nothing called worldly people. And if someone is world, think about the world and has not yet gone Godward, has not yet developed spirituality, doesn't mean that he is totally gone. He will have his time. This is the time that he can do only the worldly needs. He has that much developed now. But in time, he will be spiritual. He will move towards God. There is a time coming for his betterment where he will see the light. Now it's a little play going on, as Sri Ramakrishna saying, Divine Mother's toys they have given. She has given toy of this body and the world and the relation and the physical comforts and like that. He is playing with the toy like a baby. Time will come when this he will throw that away and say, I want mother. Mother is Divine Mother. So Sri Ramakrishna said that they look dry. They don't have any connection. They cannot enjoy the devotees, enjoy the people of the world, enjoy the company of the human beings. So if you don't enjoy that and you don't like anyone, so that is also not complete perfection of the human life. Human life should be full of joy. Whether you are alone in yourself, there you are also happy with your own company and joyful in the thought of God and meditation, repeating His name in prayer. And you're very happy. You don't feel miss anything. And when you are with the people, devotees, and just if even if the people, devotees, people are not very spiritual, even you can feel that they are the God have made them like that. They are playing with the toys. Mother has given them the toys. Just everything should make us connect to the Divine Mother. Whether we see a spiritual person, and we have to develop a skill. Seeing a worldly person also, we need to get connected to the Divine Mother. Has given that person this much toy and he's playing. So Mother is the thing there. We should remember Divine Mother. And then this is, and then pray to that person, pray for that person to the Divine Mother, that Mother, please take care of his, and let him not must play with that, because in this play there is suffering. In the worldliness there is suffering. In spirituality there is joy. May he gain the joy of being human being. Just pray to that. So that also will give you joy to see the people. And the people, those who have yoga and bhoga, they will enjoy the company of the people, company of the devotees. And that's what he admires of Suryandra. Suryandra was so much devoted to Sri Ramakrishna. Yet he was looking after a great business, earning a lot of money. That's what Sri Ramakrishna's admiration, and that's what he wants people to be. Always in happy mood, always connected to God, and having friendliness to all. Not hatred towards anyone. Hate not, love all. That is the thing that spirituality demands of us. Love all and hate none. Don't abhor anything, anything. Abhorration, that jugupsa, that animosity, and this both aberration, both are astapasa. um, uh, one is called jugupsa, that you don't like the things, another called animosity, that you don't like the person. So both are binding forces in our life. Both has to be ignored and not let catch us, not bind us. Sri Ramakrishna says, Lajja, Ghrina, Bhoy, Teen Thakte Noy. Those three are also of the Ashtapasas, of the 8 fetters. These are also this shyness, Lajja, hatred, the Ghrina, that is animosity, and Bhoy, fear of what? Fear of losing spiritual connection, fear of losing your health, fear of losing your life, all this fear of losing money. Any fear is great bondage, and it kills us. The fear of death kills us even before the death comes. So death will come to us any time, any day, and it is certain to come. Why to be afraid of that? Everyone who is born has to die. So let us not die before the death comes, always being afraid. Oh, I may die that. There might be coronavirus. There might be influenza. Who knows where is inside is cancer or not? Always worried for that. Why? If people die of cancer, we die of COVID, we die of so many things. When the death is to come, whatever written in our Kapala, that will happen. That nobody can avoid that. Rake Hori, Mare Hori, Rake Ke. When God wants us, our life to be completed, and we go give to Him to further in our progress of our journey of infinite lives, then we go. When God wants that, who will save you? Who will protect you? And when God protects you, who will kill you? Like that, let us surrender to the will of God and be free from all fears. Fear is the bondage which makes us unhappy and worrisome. Freedom from fear makes us spiritual and joyful. So that is needed. So we need to break away these fetters that bind us to this world. So Sri Ramakrishna has a lot of praise for Suryandra. You have both yoga and bhoga. Generally, people have only bhoga. So you have yoga also. It's more emphasis is on yoga. The man who renounces all looks dry. Who is explaining here? What is why he said dry? Otherwise, your continence would look dry. So here he says, the man who renounces all looks dry. So what type of renunciation is that? And what type of the ideal monk of Sri Ramakrishna's vision or Sri Ramakrishna's ideal? So Sri Ramakrishna, he's talking about monks who look dry because they renounce everything. They renounce even connection with the world. They don't want to get connected. They want to go away from the world. That's why monks of the Ramakrishna order are always connected to the society. If you see the ideal of Christian monks, they are not supposed to have any connection with anything with the society. Those who have connection and preach them Bible and all that, they are priests. They are not monks. Monks, they go to the forest or the hill and live with themselves and have no connection with the world. Worldly people send some subscription, some money. Sometimes they themselves grow something or have something for earning to have the livelihood, selling some coffee or fruits or something. But they do not try to have any connection or any sharing of their spiritual experience also with the world. That type of life for a monk in the Christian world generally. So in our some sects also, you don't have any connection with the world and only try to think of the world. Let you not deviate into the Maya, which is so powerful and it may catch you. So always afraid of getting caught by Maya. And Sri Ramakrishna gives very nice saying in Bengali. He says, Rishira bhaye torase. The rishis are always in the fear, and trasa is very much afraid of getting caught to the world. Rishi in the sense who really say, I want to realize myself. I want to have the knowledge of Brahman, not any connection with the world, totally disconnected to the world. And they look dry because they are always afraid and have no sympathy, no connection, no service to the world. Sri Ramakrishna's monks are not like that. They are very much connected to the world. Monks doing all. In fact, we are a Christian priest do and what the Christian monks do, we are both in one. We are connected to the world not only through our talks or through our suggestions, advice, um, uh, like only or the scripture explanation or some talks. Not only that, but we literally and really were connected to the society by running hospital, by serving patients in the hospitals, running the medical centers and the dispensaries, teaching in the school and the colleges and the universities, and looking after orphanage, looking after the people of old age, taking them to the hospital, making arrangement for their health, cleaning and sweeping the dirty places. All that monks do, connected to the society, intimately connected, and yet having the time to remember God and have the time to pray. And when they serve the society, serve poor, teach students, and then work for the benefit of the destitute, always they think they are serving Sri Ramakrishna in different forms. That all is done not to have any praise from anyone, but to have their spiritual progress. All that will lead to the purification of their heart. I know I have heard about one Swami, I don't know his name, but I heard that whenever in the residential school they have some holidays like 1 month or 1.5 month, and when all the students go to their home and summertime, summer vacation, and after that 1.5 month students return to the hostels, to the school, and then those monks generally say, happy time, no responsibility, no routine was there. We are in vacation now, our job starts as it happens to us after a long weekend. We go to office on Monday or Tuesday. So long weekend finish. I have to my vacation is finished in North Carolina, and now I have to go back to Toronto, and office starts from Monday or Tuesday. We feel little that. But what that Swami used to say, Swami said, used to be so happy when the vacation ended and the students were coming and say, oh, students are all coming and they will start education, and people will be playing here, going to the class and studying, bell will ring and everything will be in time. And that Swami used to be very happy, because for him students were not just the students, they were the form of Sri Ramakrishna coming, and he would be able to serve them wherever he was working, either in the boys store or in the hostel or in the dairy or in the school. Wherever he was working, he would be very happy to serve this little baby Sri Ramakrishna, the students, and that was his attitude, seeing Thakur in all. So when one has that attitude, he finds great joy in service. There's so much joy in this connection and giving free service without any expectation. Just give and give. That's what Swami Vivekananda says. Thou, 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 fire nahi chao. Give everything and thake yadi hridaya sambal. If you have strength in your heart, just give and ask for nothing. No return, no expectation, no asking for, just joy in giving. There is great joy in giving. That's what is the getting connected to the society, to the people, serving the people, always that. How Sri Ramakrishna served so much to the people, when even when he was sick, always enjoy that Girish Ghosh comes in a hot summer day, and Sri Ramakrishna cannot even get up. Cancer has taken his all strength of his body. The body has become bone and skin. Nothing was there. He cannot even get up and move. That was Sri Ramakrishna's physical condition. Sri Girish Ghosh comes in Kashipur, and his face beams with joy and says, in this hot summer he has come, let me see, give him some cold water. He just crawls himself to the corner of the room where there was earthen jar with cold water, and he tests that, put that water in his hand, whether it is cold or not. He didn't find it sufficient cold, but still he had to give that, and that pours that water, and someone takes that to Girish Ghosh and gives them. This is the joy of serving. That's what we learn from Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna is an ideal example, our hero. So our role model, That's what we learned from him. That's why Sri Ramakrishna is our Ishta. We want to become like Sri Ramakrishna in this such behavior, in loving everyone with all our might and power, in all condition, not thinking for ourselves, but only thinking about the good and happiness of others. That is the monk of the Ramakrishna order, and that is the ideal for the householders of the Ramakrishna order. Swami Vivekananda monk is a lively, is a different type of and leading a life. They have no connection with the world, but they make the whole world their own family. No connection with the family. But as far as service to the society is concerned, both householder and monks are same. We work together to serve the society and get the benefit, spiritual benefit of purifying our mind and moving towards God. So Sri Ramakrishna was very much into that. That's the monk learning, meditating, praying, doing japam, at the same time connecting with the people, and that's why they are so joyful. And the people who only think about themselves, whether even if they think about their mukti alone, I want to have the mukti, no birth in the next life, only I want to have the realization and have the mukti. Who will have mukti? I will not be bound. I will be get rid of all bondage. And what about others? I don't know. They will have to do their own mukti. I have no concern with them. I want my own mukti. So selfishness in the form of spiritual practice, in the name of spiritual practice, may creep in, and the face becomes dry. Not that every Jnana yogi becomes like that. Shankaracharya, Buddha, all they were Jnana yogis. But how joyful they were, how they were connected to the society, how they wanted the people to have freedom from ignorance and live in the bliss of Jivan Mukti. That was Shankaracharya's whole life. He saw the whole world as mithya. And yet he worked so much for this world. Worship, prayers, stotras, scriptures, explanation, bhasyas, all that for the world. He didn't have to write bhasya for himself. For whom he did? For us. And he was the Jnani par excellence. Who can be greater Jnani than Buddha, who lived for the society? And they were never dry. They were always full of joy, connecting with the people, connecting with the God. God manifested at this world. That is the ideal of Ramakrishna. That's what Sri Ramakrishna says. The devotee of Divine Mother, the man who renounces all, looks dry. That renunciation is that when renounces even the concern about others. So that is not good renunciation. You should feel for others. If you read the Swami Vivekananda's ideal of sannyasa, which he gave before his coming, he gave at Belur Math to the young sadhus and brahmacharis, just on the eve of his departure to the West for the second time, that he gave ideal of sannyasa. Beautiful. What the Ramakrishna sannyasin should be are that in that very nicely given. Once I saw a devotee of the Divine Mother at the bathing ghat on the Ganges. He was eating his meal and at the same time worshipping the mother. He looked on himself as the mother's child. What the ideal, as it says, mothers, how the divine mothers are. So he was feeding himself and thinking, I am not eating, I am feeding the child of the divine mother. Can you see this attitude of eating? That what we say, Brahmarpanam, from the point of view of Jnana. You are not eating, you are just doing the action of Brahman, everything in eating, in offering the food, in offering the yajna. It's like a yajna being performed. That food is like a havi. You are offering to the fire inside you, and that's called. The fire's name is there. In that fire, you offer that havi, and it's like a yajna going on. There's nothing of enjoying for enjoyment. You eat like that ideal, and here maybe there is a sense of the liking for, but who is feeding? He's feeding the child of the divine mother and worshipping the divine mother at the same time. This eating itself has become the worship of the divine mother, because he is feeding the child of the divine mother. That person is not eating but feeding the child. how this attitude changes our all everything around us, and that is why he praises the he saw that, and he didn't say, but Sri Ramakrishna could see the mind of the person. And he could understand what that bhakta of Divine Mother was doing, that he was feeding the child of the Divine Mother, and that was the worship of the Divine Mother. Suryandra: Sir, why can't I meditate? That is the problem of all of us. Like Arjuna, he's asking to Sri Ramakrishna. Arjuna asked for us. He's asking for all of us. Why can't I meditate? Because Sri Ramakrishna praised Surendra that you are yogi and you may be a little bhogi, but you are yogi. They say, I am yogi, you are saying, but I can't meditate. What type of yogi am I? So, why can't I meditate? Then what Sri Ramakrishna says, Master, you remember God and think of Him, don't you? What a beautiful. You don't have to sit and totally withdraw your mind to your Ishta or to that. It's very difficult. Even Arjuna said it's very difficult to control mind and put it in something that you like to put. Like Vayori Suduskaram, like catching the wind. And Sri Krishna said, yes, it is difficult indeed. Sri Krishna also says it is difficult. So here Sri Ramakrishna says, you don't have to do so much. But what you do, that is also great. Then he says, mm, you remember God and think of Him. You see this smarana and manana. That's Sharan Monan, we call it in Bengali. So smarana and manana, always remembering God and thinking of God, always trying to repeat God's name or mantra. If you have taken the mantra diksha, the holy mantra or divine name that we have formally got, always repeating in the mind. That's called smarana and manana, Sharan Monan. And that you do or not. You think of God or not. You think of hand of God in the things that happen or not. That God willed it to be like that. You work something and it doesn't really get what you want. Then what you say? Oh, that was the will of the Divine Mother. Mother wanted that much. That's fine. You give everything to God. So that is what is needed. Meditation, if it happens, fine. But if it doesn't happen, don't get worried for that. Remember God always and see God's hand in everything. Rely on God. Surrender to the will of God. Then Suryandra says, yes, sir, I go to sleep repeating the word mother. Yogi, you see, he didn't think of his business, his company, his money while going to sleep. His final memory was mother. And then saying mother, with repeating the word mother, ma, the divine mother, and he went to bed. That is also one thing to learn, that whatever we think of our last thoughts of during sleep, generally it is said that lingers when we are asleep. So if we think of God, our mind, subconscious mind, will be filled with God. Like when if we think of God before death, they say we'll attain God. Whatever we think, we attain that before death. Like that also, this is also laya. No, mind becomes absorbed. Mind remains. Uh, it just mind is not working. It subdues its action. So so that is the sleep is. And when we repeat the name of God before we sleep or think of God, maybe thought of God will be in our sleep. And God means joy. God means reality. God means bliss. When we can think of God, our sleep will be so fantastic and joyful. So here Surendra says that, and Sri Ramakrishna had said that, and that he said, yes, what you say, it's true. I think of God, yes, I do. I remember Him all the time, and even before sleep, I repeat the mother's name, Master. That is very good. It will be enough if we remember God and think of Him. You see, granted, if you don't get meditation, no worries. So this is a big solace for all of us who really don't have the chance or don't have that joy of meditation that has not come. So if we cannot never have good meditation, nothing to worry. Do we remember Sri Ramakrishna in everything? Do we repeat God's name? So if we can do that, that will also help us to grow spiritually. We'll also attain that state where the yogis go through meditation. The sadhaka, the japaka will go through japam to the same place. Ultimately, we'll reach there. So that's for Sri Ramakrishna's. It's very positive. Sri Ramakrishna's thing was very positive, and he tried to help the person from where that person is, and not saying that, oh, you cannot meditate, then how will your spirituality be strengthened? You will be deviated when the difficult time comes. You should always meditate, and that person is not able to meditate. He is doing the worldly business. Is it easy to get meditate, have good meditation? So, and that's Sri Ramakrishna. Don't worry, you repeat God, and that will do. Why is it that will do? Because he is there. He is there to provide and look after his spiritual things, to take care of his spirituality. And Sri Ramakrishna is not only for Suryandra. If we say only for Suryandra, then it will have a very small spirituality. Sri Ramakrishna is such a big spiritual power that Swami Vivekananda says, never has such spiritual power come to this world as has come Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna is for all of us. He will also take care of all of us. Just we need to get connected to him, and we get the power of Sri Ramakrishna all coming to us directly, and have the faith in him that he is there. Why should we worry? For the things will come. And always the prayer, don't let me go away from him, don't forget me, and don't let me go away from you, O Lord, like that. Sri Ramakrishna had taken Suryendra's responsibilities on himself. Why should Suryandra worry about anything? That is Yam's comment. Sri Ramakrishna has taken Suryendra's responsibility on himself. Why should Suryandra worry about anything? So this Yam says it is about himself, it is about Suryandra, it is about Mathura Vishwas, and it is about you, about me, whoever have taken shelter in Sri Ramakrishna. Holy Mother says, when Sri Ramakrishna has taken responsibility of us, we don't need to worry for anything. Not for only spirituality, for anything. Everything will be taken care of. Just let us go on doing what we need to do and not worry for anything. All will be done, whatever is best for us. So that is what Sri Ramakrishna's assurance and Yam's comment. And through the example of Suryandra, Sri Ramakrishna brought the incident of Suryandra here just to show to us that how he takes care of his devotees. Sri Ramakrishna saw Suryandra, he loved Suryandra, he took care of Suryandra. It's not only Suryandra, he sees us, he has taken us into his fold, under his wings, and he takes care of us. That if we don't understand that, we will be fool. We will not be the intelligent people. We will be fool, and we'll just worry, oh Sri Ramakrishna, and we'll have no faith that Sri Ramakrishna is still living, even after Swami Vivekananda said, even after many people, even of our generation, they have seen Sri Ramakrishna, even after seeing Sri Ramakrishna in our life, how he's taking care of us in our life and guiding us towards God. If we don't realize that, then we are very insensible person, and we are equal to fool, not able to understand the unseen hands of Sri Ramakrishna. The only thing that we need in life is yearning to see Sri Ramakrishna. If we have, I want to see you, I have seen you in picture, I have seen you there present, Chaya, Kaya, Ek, picture and the person is one. The picture is like the shadow of a person. When shadow is there, person is there. That's what Holy Mother said, Chaya, Kaya, Ek. The shadow and the person are one. It is the shadow of the person. So, but I see only the shadow, only the photograph. I'm imposing and trying to intellectually and emotionally see you there. But I want to see really, I want to see you with these open eyes, or in just when I closed eyes, whatever is there, and I want to touch your feet. I want to touch you. I want to see you in front of me. I want to see your beaming, joyful face. So that is our prayer. With all our surrender to Sri Ramakrishna, just we want to see him, have the direct vision of him. So prayer we can do, but we should be assured that he is there with us looking for our everything for this worldly life, for the life after we give up this world. Sri Ramakrishna will always be with us. With this faith in him, we can have tremendous spiritual life and can live with peace and joy, and everything will be taken care of by him. This surrender to God and tremendous faith in love of God, this is the reality of spiritual life. When our doubts come, when little difficulties happen, when our little desires are not fulfilled, and we feel that, oh, perhaps God has forsaken us, why this happened to us? We don't know the big picture. We don't know the big picture. And having little something happening here and there, some losing something, having not fulfilled, God is not, God has forsaken me. Why I lost that that thing in my life? And if we have that type of doubt, that will be our foolishness. God has his own plans for us and for all whom we call ours. Everyone has come to this world by the will of God. God has sent them here, and we all go to Sri Ramakrishna as our time comes. When we do not know, but all is, we have all our own gati, our own journey. It's a, because someone is my father doesn't mean I can, or my wife or my husband, I cannot. He or she doesn't, is not really my instrument. I should impose on that person. God has sent us to be together. It is God's grace, and we all have our own journey in life. And we have our own time to, when we are born, we're different. When we die, we'll be different. But yet, we are here as the devotee of God, living together, helping each other, serving each other, and in that process, purifying our mind and having the joy of living together in the company of whom? Not my son or my daughter or my wife, my husband, not that, but in the company of devotee of Thakur, devotee of God, who has come, God has given to me as my wife, my husband, my father, my guru, all are God's gift to me to be here. If we have that type of attitude in this life, having everyone that is around us as the gift of God and belonging to God, and our duty just to love them, serve them, help them as a devotee serves another devotee, and having no personal attachment to anyone, having no personal possession, and having no personal that saying, oh, he belongs to me, whatever I say that will do, because he is my son, he has to do whatever I say, he has to study whatever I like, I want to make him a doctor, I want to make him a lawyer, I want to make him. That is so foolish of ourselves, so selfish idea that he is my son. He is a devotee of God. I can help him to become better and happier in life. I think that will make, if before say, pray to Thakur, I want to make him doctor. If you want, if you feel that if he becomes a doctor or lawyer or businessman, he will be happy, make that. Otherwise, whatever you feel that is good for that person, you make him that. He belongs to you, she belongs to you, my daughter belongs to you. It is up to you how you lead him in this life, or you lead her in this life, and make her life or his life happy, because you have given to him to me. We are together in this journey of in this life for whatever short time we are there together. Just this is the feeling that I have. I just wish well to my daughter or my son, nothing more than that, because they do not belong to me, they belong to you. That type of thought we should have, and the life becomes, we just serve our children as devotees of Thakur. What a wonderful joy to be with the devotees of God. Your being with son is always joyful, being your children. Then when you see them as the devotee of God, and when you advance, then devotee thing also, when he says, you see them as Sri Ramakrishna, then as Sri Ramakrishna saw in his wife, the Divine Mother himself, in his mother, the Divine Mother himself. That is the greatest joy. We have not that idea come, but we can still have this idea to see him as belonging to God, repeating God, mm, potentiality to divinity that is within each man in that person. So see the future of manifesting divinity and loving everyone and living for all, like that type of thought in your young children and son, and you'll find great reverence for your children. You revere your teachers, you revere your Ishta, you revere Thakurma Swamiji, you revere your Guru. Like that type of reverence will come toward every one of your family, to your young child, newborn child, great potentiality, divinity on earth, having the potentiality to give his life, to dedicate his life for the service of human being, for the service of God in man. Like that, if you think that way, our life would be so wonderful, and everyone would seem so joyful. Every connection, every talk, every offering, every gift, your gift will be so joyful. You will live with God, with Sri Ramakrishna, though not seen in this physical form that you meditate, but Sri Ramakrishna in various forms. That's what is needed, as it is said in the Gita. You have all the you walk with 1,000 feet. Sahasra Shirsha Purusha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat. Said Purusha, that being, has the 1,000 feet, 1,000 eyes. All eyes are his, all faces are his. Like that, we have to leave what our shastras speak, and that's the best is the gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. The best of the scriptures, all the cream of the scripture is the gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Vedas and the Bible and the Upanishad and the Gita and Jan Avesta and the Granth Sahib, everything is condensed and presented in Sri Ramakrishna through from his life as example. We are very fortunate in that way. Thank you very much for attending the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna from the holy temple of Sri Ramakrishna at the Vedanta Society of Calgary. Beautiful city, you must visit here in your lifetime to see the Rockies, to see the Vedanta Society itself in a new premise, and the devotees here working so tirelessly to upkeep the thing. Here you see the vibration of divine vibration here in this center. So you may come from Toronto when they visit the Calgary. Whenever you come Calgary, please make it a point to visit the Vedanta Society of Calgary. And I wish you all the best for this week. We'll meet on Sunday, those who attend the Sunday service on Sunday, this coming Sunday at 11 o'clock Eastern Daylight Saving Time, and from Calgary it will be 9 a.m. in the morning, MDT Daylight Saving Time. Thank you so much. With closing chant, we end today's scripture class of the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu Jananim Saradam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padapadme Tayo Shritva Pranamami Muhurmu. Happy Holi to you all. Thank you. Jai Ma.